This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Well, Dad, in the
Well, I think I met John out of St. Elizabeth. So when I went to work out there, I'm sure it was pretty 1962.
Yeah,
Yeah, 62.
because we were all just moving into Stanton Hill together and stuff.
No,
No, we were in Parkland and y'all were in.
No,
yeah, we were in Shipley Terrace.
Yeah, they were in
Mhm.
Shipley Terrace.
And we were in Parkland.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm trying to figure out if Teresa and I got married after we met or whether we got married before we
I
met.
think you
Because,
guys
see,
was
we got
already-
married.
You was married when I met you.
So we got married in 63.
Well, I met you when you first came to St. Elizabeth at Ward 8 over in the East Side Service.
No, because see, I started in West Lodge.
Okay, well, I met you over.
Well, I started in Detach. I
uh,
started in Detach.
right.
And then I didn't go to West Lodge. I went from Detach to East Side.
Yeah. That's where I
And that's
remember
where we
meeting.
met. Yeah,
East
we
Side.
met over in the East Side. But we're forgiven. I mean, our memory ain't what it used to be.
And see, I knew both your parents as a teenager.
Yeah, but it's been years and years and years.
so you knew Mrs. Rice before you met Mr. Rice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know all that. This is
But
all
we didn't go to the same schools because
We
it
went to
was
the
a
same
neighbor
school
like that.
together.
Because she went to Eastern and I went
McKinley.
to Spangone for a half a year.
Yeah. We went to the same junior high schools and stuff.
So
Yeah,
he was a troublemaker, like he said.
Huh?
Was he a troublemaker like he says he was?
You know, I never saw Sterling as a troublemaker. Sterling and I got along.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I wasn't the best kid in the world either. And but he was always nice to me. And then all them little heifers running around wanted him, and I didn't. So that was not an issue for me. And he was dating the girl that lived up the street from me for a while. And then I met your mother through her girlfriend that lived up the street from me, Anita Booker. Because
Yeah, 'cause they were cowgirls together.
yeah. And Anita's brother Johnny and I were dating each other.
Yeah.
And that's how I met your mother. And then Sterling at the time was dating a girl up the street from me named Joan
That
Butler.
was Joan Butler, yeah.
Yeah, Joan Butler. She was a twin.
Twin, Joan and Judy.
Butler. And he had
My friend Dottie is here sitting over there listening to all of this.
Oh, she can jump in.
Yeah. See what's she gonna say?
Yeah, that's right. They don't want me to say nothing.
She ain't part of the history.
They don't want me to say nothing.
None of the old history anyway.
Yeah, well, we go way, way back. And we stayed friends, even though we kind of got away from each other as we got grown and got married and started having babies. And then we came back together when John and Sterling hooked up at St. Elizabeth. And he came home all excited because he met this guy from DC named Sterling Brothers. And he just bragging on Sterling. I said, I know Sterling. And that just shut him right up. And I told him how Sterling and Teresa was such a great couple and everybody admired them. And we were so proud of your mother because she became one of the first Black women to work C&P Telephone Company. And we were all proud. Our chest was stuck out, buddy.
Did not.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah. I mean, bragging. Teresa works for C&P. Oh, yeah.
And she started as a long distance operator.
That's right.
Back then, the ladies used to wear white gloves. The supervisors used to wear white gloves.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But why'd they wear white gloves?
Okay, I'm gonna run through some of the places I've lived real quick. It started on Sheriff Road.
Yeah.
That's where I was born, and that's where I stayed until I was 16. And what was Sheriff Road like? Sheriff Road was like, it was country. It wasn't,
It was.
it was country. Ain't no question about it. I mean, my older brother Raymond and they used to sing under the lights, and we played baseball,
Mhm,
basketball, football on dirt lots with rocks and stones and glass.
mhm,
Our basketball court was in the alley
mhm.
with a basket that they used to get crabs in, the bushel basket.
That's right.
We'd get that basket and nailed it up to the lamppost under the light,
That's
and
right.
that's how we played basketball at night. We had dances almost every weekend, especially during
Friday.
the summer,
Right.
in somebody's basement,
Mhm,
blue light, red light, whatever,
mhm.
rubbing and grinding.
You remember
I mean,
Friday?
hey, nobody took a bath, man. We went from the basketball, baseball, whatever we were playing that day. That Saturday, that's where we went to the party with the same thing on. Changing clothes was not a big thing then. You know, you may wear the same thing 2 or 3 days. They had to make us take a bath. You know, we ate the most of that, and going by my memory, okay, mostly what I remember us eating all the time was fish, chicken, occasionally ham, but always cabbage, cabbage with fatback and potatoes all mixed in the same pot.
Mm.
And sometimes that was the meal.
Mm.
That those greens with the fatback and potatoes, sometimes that was dinner. And I mean, but we stayed outdoors all the time. Even in the winter,
That's
they
true.
would put us out of the house. Go outside, go, go, go. So me and the guys in the neighborhood, we spent a lot of time over in the woods. We call it the woods, across the street from the apartments.
Mhm.
And we play army, cowboys, just riding around on stick horses, doing a whole kind, even guns. We thought we called ourselves having some guns with holsters, and we made our own skateboards, the 2x4s and old skates. I mean, it was a different lifestyle back then. Very seldom did you have anything new unless it was Christmas. Everything else you made or you scavenged or you got it. We used to get our stick horses when they started building these apartments off of J Street. And the construction guys had all of these, we call them furring strips now, but back then we'd run up there and get us or steal us some furring strips, man, take it back home. And actually try to put a saddle on that stick, man, with a string going through it. And we would run down there with that thing between our legs like we were riding a horse.
They sure would.
We did the same thing in North Carolina.
Oh, yeah, that was the thing to do.
That was a good thing.
Yeah, it was
We
going
would
thing.
cut down trees.
Plus, we had a lot of games we played with the girls in the hood, right? The girls in the neighborhood back then.
House.
Mhm. We played hide and go seek. We played spin the bottle, um, hopscotch, pick up sticks. Just about all of Mother May I, all
Yeah.
kinds of games that
Never heard
we
of that.
came up
Double
with.
Dutch. I was always in the
Double Dutch, that rope. Yeah, we did
Yeah.
all of that
Good
stuff.
at that stuff.
But as I got older and I left, well, when I got to the 9th grade in Brown Junior High School, I
Yeah.
failed the 9th grade because I just wasn't applying myself, not doing right, not doing anything. So I had to repeat the 9th grade, and then I ended up at Woodson Junior High School.
Mhm. That was
When
new.
I went to Woodson Junior High School,
And it was a brand new school.
I repeat, yeah, brand new, first class.
It was not the old school that I went to.
Yeah. And we went to, I went to Spingarn after that. and that's where I dropped out. So when I dropped out of Spangone after half a year, that's when I went to live in Seat Pleasant with Dimples, Lloyd, Alfred, and that group. So that was another place where I lived,
Mhm.
even though it was less than a year.
Mm.
But over there was, I probably spent most of my time cleaning the house. Everybody would go to school. The kids would go to school. Everybody else would go to work. And I'd be left at home all day over there. And I would just clean the house. I didn't know what else to do. So when they came home every day, the house was spick and span. I cleaned the house. And then when the kids came home, we'd go down to Watts Branch Playground. And down there is where I met James Campbell, Dave Bing, and all the other guys who became super people, right?
Yeah.
And we played basketball, baseball. And it was nice over there because they had a nice recreation center at the time. You learned how to make keychains out of the GIMP. We played ping pong. We played just a whole bunch of games, right? And I stayed over there for a while. And then one day, Uncle Sam came over for one of the weekend parties because at my Aunt Orleans, that was the party place on weekends. And all the Newberries and all the family came over. Well, one time Sam came over and he said, well, you're not going to school. You're not doing anything. Why don't you come over and help me paint the trim on the house? So I said, it was fine with me. And that was during the summer, right? So I went over there and I ended up living there. So that's the next place I lived, was on Myrtle Avenue off of South Dakota. And I met a whole new bunch of guys, but all of them went to McKinley. And we did the same thing. We played basketball, football, baseball. We go down Taft Junior High School and play in their facilities down there. And we just, it was like, it was an entirely different environment for me, because that's where I ran into Julius Hobson. And I used to babysit for his kids, Hobby and the girl's name. I used to babysit for them, but I used to hear Julius Hobson all the time coming to the house talking to Sam and Gwen about politics in DC, right? And he was all into that school business, right? In fact, he was probably a lot responsible for Black people, Black kids being able to go to school west of the park. Because he started complaining about them spending more money over there than white kids west of the park.
That's right.
And ignoring the Black kids. And so they came up with this system of busing kids out of Mount Pleasant and Upper 14th Street up to Deal Junior High, right?
That's right.
But that was an experience because when I went to live with Sam and Gwen, I was exposed to a culture change. I didn't, half the time I didn't. What's happening, Aaron? I see you laid back over there.
See him.
Yeah.
Look at him. He's so cute.
Yeah. This is Andre's son, Aaron. I was exposed
Boy,
to
he grown up.
Yeah.
a level of education that I had no idea where I was and what I was doing. And their language was strange to me because the things they talked about, I had no idea what they were talking about. And most of Sam's friends at that time were chemists, or they were working for FDA, and they were all into this thing about policy, procedures, and chemical equations and all kinds of stuff like that. I didn't know what they were talking about. But I was there in the environment and they were all educated. No one in that group had not been to college. They were all college graduates, masters and PhDs. And I spent a lot of time looking at them. And they never told me to go away. Not like when I was in some of the other places that they would say, hey, y'all go outdoors. You go outside and do something else. I was allowed to stay in there, you know, and watch and listen and learn from their behavior, what was proper behavior and stuff like that, you know. And that was probably the beginning of the change in how I looked at life. I started looking at things like education is important. Because if I'm going to be listening to them and talking to them and being around their friends, I need to know something more than what I already know. Right? So I started changing. I started listening. I started paying attention in school. My grades came up. And then Sam got this research fellowship to go to Washington University in St. Louis. So they gave me the option, you know, well, you can stay here in DC or you can go to St. Louis with us. Well, I said, well, I'll go to St. Louis with you all because this is working out fine for me so far, right? So they flew. And I told them, no, I'm not getting on no airplane. So they said, well, you don't have to take an airplane. You can ride the train. So I got on the train and went to St. Louis. And when I got off that train, it was so hot. I wouldn't turn around and come back. I said, I don't believe no heat like this. And then they had one of their friends pick me up. And on the way to the house, he was listening to jazz on the radio. Well, I didn't know anything. I didn't know a lot about jazz, even though my older brother, Bro, was into jazz. I didn't know a lot about it. So he started talking to me about jazz and telling me this was the music. He said, "Ain't no jazz like St. Louis jazz, right?" And by the time we got to the house and everything, he had convinced me to start listening to some jazz. And I got out there, and then the girl next door, she introduced me to the classical music because she liked classical music, right? And being the new guy in town, I was like top man, especially coming from DC. You coming from Washington, D.C. Wow, man, you all right. You the man, right? We started a little club. I still have poems that I wrote for the club, man, back then, because then I developed this interest in writing poems, right? So I did that for a while, but St. Louis was really nice. That was a great experience. I finished high school out there, played basketball, played everywhere I went in high school. I played JV basketball. Never could play varsity basketball because you had to be in the school for a year or so before you could eligible for varsity. And I never stayed in a school long enough to become eligible for varsity basketball. Even though I played with Bernard Levi, I played with Nat Jackson, I played with Dave Bing. I played with all of these people, but I couldn't ever play varsity. And I'm being really honest, I don't think I would have made varsity anyway. I wasn't that good. I was good enough to be on the JV team and maybe a bench player on varsity, but it was all good. So we stayed in St. Louis for 2 years, finished high school. I really think I had my first real girlfriend in St. Louis. Because up until the time I went to St. Louis, I had the girlfriend Joan Butler. That was junior high school, right? But you know how junior high school that's not really dating or doing anything. That's a you going with me and I'm going with you kind of thing. You know, we go to parties and stuff. When I got to the girl I took to the prom in St. Louis, we really were dating, right? We were dating. There wasn't no question about that. You know, everything that went with dating, we were doing. And when it was time for after we graduated, she was going, her parents were sending her to one of those female colleges, I think down in South Carolina. And Sam's research fellowship was over. So we're leaving St. Louis to come back to DC. And that was one of the saddest days. I learned how to drive in St. Louis only because Sam told me, you're going to have to learn how to drive so you can help me drive back to DC. Other than that, I was not interested in driving anything, right? And I was 18 going on 19. And yeah, I learned how to drive. And the way I learned how to drive is nobody learned how to drive the way I learned how to drive. He took me up into the, can't think of the name of that park. It was sort of like Rock Creek Park, but it was up there where the Budweiser's, Clydesdales, where they house their horses and stuff, right? He got out the car, gave me the keys, and got in the car with some other lady and told me, well, you go ahead and learn how to drive. Just drive around the park till I get back. And that's what I did. I drove around that park, and he was gone for a few hours. When he got back, I could drive. You know, just driving around in the park, right? When he got back, I knew how to drive. So we left to come back here. I cried when I left St. Louis. I will remember that forever because on the way back, this song came on the radio called It Must Be Raindrops Falling From My Eyes, right? Those tears started coming down because I didn't want to leave her. And I didn't want to leave St. Louis. I didn't want to leave St. Louis. I mean, I was doing good out there. But when they came back, got here, and then I had a choice. Go to Howard University or go to DC Teachers College. I chose DC Teachers College. See, I could go to Howard at a reduced, almost nothing rate because Sam had gotten a job at Howard and he was doing some research on enzymes and proteins and stuff like that up in the chemistry department. And he could have gotten me in Howard. But Gwen's mother was the secretary to the dean at DC Teachers College. So I told him, I said, well, Howard sounds good, but I'm gonna go over here with Mother Johnson. I'm gonna go over there with her. And that's how I ended up at DC Teachers College. All right, I'm gonna cut because now we're back from where I started to now I'm back to DC. And we'll get back to what my life was like.
All right, now before you go on, the TV background's a little
the TV?
I don't know if I'm watching it or not, but anybody who's watching the video is going to see that TV. There you go.
Well, they're going to see, what was that? Let's make whatever that was.
Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune, yeah. All right, I cut that out. But now we can go back to whatever you all want to talk about. Any questions? Nobody has a question about anything I said.
Oh, I got
Aaron, I know Aaron got a question.
Aaron's got a question.
Huh?
I'm happy listening.
Oh,
I'm happy listening. I don't have a question.
oh,
He is
okay.
too cute.
Sound like Andre. You
Huh?
sound like you, Andre.
He's so
I
precious.
mean, as he speaks, he sounds just like you. That's wild.
That's what they used to tell me about
Yeah.
me and my
Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah? You think so?
He's so
Does he
cute.
sound like his dad?
Look at him.
That is wild. You can't be.
How old are you now, Aaron?
25.
Oh, Lord.
Oh my goodness. I haven't seen you since I retired. Since before I.
My goodness. You
It's
ain't
been a
gonna
while.
have to do no more.
Since and you were a baby then.
It's been a
Oh,
long while.
Andre, you want to cut the session and we just talk?
Yeah, we can do that. Here, let me see.